Laura, and thank you for the American Dream Mall to invite me today to speak on this dream stage. And I'm Jean Zhao Cesaroni, and I'm the CEO and founder of Global CSR Foundation. At the foundation, as Laura introduced, we have been working with businesses and corporations to do global charity and philanthropy aligned with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. This year it's the 8th year. Yeah, so I'm very glad to be here and share a few stories. And today it's a very special day, the AAPI Asian American and Pacific Islanders Month. I would like to start the story with one identity crisis. That was about 20 years ago, and when I first became an American citizen. Myself, grown up in China, Shanxi province, Yuncheng. That's one of the oldest city in the world with a 5,000-year-old history. And I came to the US in 1998 to pursue my master's degree with a full scholarship in Chicago. Before that, I worked at China Daily as a reporter and also working at Siemens as a PR specialist. So after a couple years in the US, I became an American citizen. Through that paperwork, I needed to go to the Chinese consulate to actually get my China visa. At that moment, I wasn't expecting at all. The officer picked up a scissors and cut a corner of my Chinese passport. I was very shocked, and after that, I left the building, got on a wrong bus, wasn't even thinking straight, ended up in a place that's very strange. I didn't even know where I was. But in reality, that day, I was going to go to an event. It's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I was completely lost because of that happened. So that's a kind of the beginning of the identity crisis, living in a foreign country, growing up in a different culture. That became more severe after I had my third daughter. I had 3 daughters. And after my third daughter, I thought I had some postpartum depression. But in reality, it was not. It was confirmed not. But I was talking to a counselor who is trying to figure out my anxiety issues. And at the end of the session, she asked a question which changed my life from that point. She asked, you know, if you can choose, make a choice. Like for example, you can be an average person living in both cultures, or you want to be a master in one culture but have no opportunity to live in a different culture. If you can choose, what will you do? I paused for a long time. I said, I would rather be an average person, but I want to live in both cultures. I want both. That actually set up the foundation for my future as a bridge builder, as a civilizational leader, and also as a global impact leader as of today. That's a very, the question I chose to be average in both cultures actually exactly turned out to be the most extraordinary experience of my life. So that's my first identity crisis. The second one I want to share, and I also want to resonate with Fred just said about, today is also the first time I share these personal stories, thanks to the great event Laura put together. Because the title, the stories shaped us, immediately touched me when I just heard, the invitation about the stories. Because my first job in America is a summit producer. I produce business strategy summits for Fortune 500 companies after I graduation from my master's degree. And I have been putting together big events, seminars, summits for over 20 years. And this is the first time I stay on the stage share my story, like Fred just mentioned. So that's why I didn't, put together a speech. I want to share from my, real experience. The second crisis is like I saw a lot of mothers, parents here, and Angela, I saw your recent interview talking about being a mother. So the second identity crisis is, am I a mother or an entrepreneur? I had 3 children, and that negotiation happened in my head all the time, almost like every day. And my mother pick up the children, but at the same time, I'm an entrepreneur, building cross-border businesses, driving global changes. But I would like to say that I made a very conscious decision when my children were younger that I will be fully present with them through their grown up. And at that time, I did not do any much of international traveling. Anything requested too much time away from them, I just have to put it on hold. Up to today, they're in college. You know, by September this year, I will be empty nester. They're all gonna be in college or graduating from college. But I never regret, and I'm so grateful I made that choice to be part of their growing up. And I would say that's not a sacrifice of my ambition. It is actually the establishment of my values. The values of me today being so conscious about the future of our world is developing, the sustainability of this, sustainability of the industry and everything, and also the long-term view and also the social responsibility, as I have been doing every day at the Global CSR Foundation, is to engage companies to be socially responsible, long-term, so our children can have a better future. So that's, build my values through being a mother and entrepreneur. So I will share 3 stories on identity crisis. My third one, now comes to my third one. In my early career, I was a business reporter, and also I become a PR professional. Later, I mentioned about summit producer, but the longest time of my professional career is a consultant to build business between US and China. I started my company ChinaWise in 2001. October. If anyone here can remember, I believe our New Yorkers can remember more than anyone, that is 9/11. Right after 9/11 happened, my birthday is September 15th. I made a wish I will start doing something to do with China. I want to do something I want, and the life is short. So 1 month later, I quit my job as the business summit producer and started ChinaWise in 2001. It's been 25 years this year, and we have made it happen like over 100 projects in technology, education, cultural exchange for 20 plus years. I have been the bridge builder between China and US. So 2016, when the Sustainable Development Goals was announced, I was also the first one to bring corporations into the UN to sign the commitment letter to dedicate their corporate strategy to be socially responsible and sustainable. So from that point on, it's been 8 years already for the foundation to be engaging in global philanthropy projects in Africa, like our Light Up Africa project, and also in Bahamas, and also Indonesia, the Women Menstrual Equity Project. So women leadership become a very key factor of what I do, and we did with United Nations World Women Organization over the last few years. We hosted the Global Women Leadership Summit, and last year I wrote a book called The Women's Civilizational Leadership. From the civilizational, historical perspective of 5,000-6,000 history, the civilization can continue and still sustainable is because men and women, but most of women's stories in the kitchen, at the home, with the children, and also with their business as well. A lot of our stories and narratives are not adequately represented in the mainstream media, in history books. It's unsung heroes of all our women. I know the Mother's Day is coming on May 10th. And I also wrote a special book just for mothers, is Women's Civilizational Leadership for Mothers, is to just shout out about our stories of being women, being mother, not just to celebrate, but have to have the mainstream, leadership to understand our contribution to human history, to civilization is irreplaceable. And also going forward, we'll need even more. So that's my 3 identity crises. First, as a bicultural person. Second, as a mother and entrepreneur. Third is all my different career paths, which all lead to who I am today. And I'm very proud to be here, and I'm very glad to share the story today with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Xiaojing.